When I looked back at Dr. No, I thought the story would be simple. The first Bond movie, Sean Connery, Jamaica, the white bikini, the birth of a legend. But the deeper you look, the stranger it gets. Because behind this polished spy adventure was a film that almost never happened, starring an actor the creator did not fully believe in, built on a tiny budget, and filled with secrets most fans never notice. Dr. No did not just introduce James Bond to the screen, it created a new kind of movie fantasy. Danger with style, violence with elegance. A hero who could walk into a casino, light a cigarette, and change pop culture with one line. But the Bond we know today was not guaranteed. These are 7 weird facts about Dr. No that reveal the hidden story behind the film that started it all. Fact 1. Sean Connery was not the obvious choice for Bond. Today, it is almost impossible to separate Sean Connery from James Bond. But in the beginning, not everyone was convinced. Before Connery got the role, other names had already been considered. Some actors did not want to commit to a long series. Others felt Bond was too violent, too immoral, or too risky. Even Ian Fleming, the man who created James Bond, was unsure about Connery at first. Connery did not have the polished, upper-class image Fleming imagined. He was rougher, more physical, more dangerous. But that became the secret. Director Terence Young saw something in him. Connery had the presence, but he needed refinement. So Young helped shape him into Bond. The suits, the manners, the way he moved through a room, the way he carried confidence without begging for attention. Bond was not born fully formed, he was built. And once Connery stepped on screen, the doubt disappeared. Fact 2. Honey Ryder's most famous scene was hiding a major secret. Ursula Andress walking out of the sea in that white bikini became one of the most famous images in movie history. It is the kind of scene people remember even if they have never watched the full film. But there is one detail many viewers never realize. The voice you hear is not really hers. Andress had a strong Swiss-German accent, and the filmmakers decided her dialogue needed to be replaced. So her lines were dubbed by British voice actress Nikki van der Zyl. That means one of the most iconic Bond girls in history became famous through a screen illusion. The face was Andress. The body was Andress. The image was unforgettable. But the voice belonged to someone else. And somehow, the illusion worked perfectly. That detail changes how you see the scene. It was not just movie magic. It was careful construction. Fact 3. The tarantula scene was more uncomfortable than it looked. One of the creepiest moments in Dr. No comes when a tarantula crawls across Bond while he is sleeping. There are no explosions, no chase scene, no big villain speech, just silence. And a spider moving slowly across his body. That is what makes it work. Sean Connery reportedly hated filming the scene, especially because he was not comfortable around spiders. The production had to handle the moment carefully, with professionals involved to keep the sequence controlled. Some stories say there was glass between Connery and the tarantula. Other versions of the story are debated, but what matters is this. The fear on screen still feels real. It is slow, simple, and practical. No CGI, no over-editing, just one uncomfortable idea stretched long enough to make the audience nervous. Sometimes, the smallest threat is the one that stays with you. Fact 4. Bond's famous gun came from a fan letter. In the early novels, James Bond carried a Beretta pistol. It looked elegant, but one reader thought it was a bad choice for a serious secret agent. That reader was Geoffrey Boothroyd, a firearms expert and Bond fan. He wrote to Ian Fleming and argued that Bond needed a stronger, more practical weapon, and Fleming listened. Bond's gun was changed to the Walther PPK, which later became one of the most recognizable weapons in movie history. But here is where it gets even more interesting. Fleming was so impressed by Boothroyd that he used his name for a character. That character eventually became known as Q. So one fan letter did not just change Bond's gun, it helped shape one of the most important parts of the entire franchise. A small piece of mail changed spy history. Fact 5. The first Bond gun barrel was not Sean Connery. Before the story even begins, Dr. No gives us one of cinema's most famous images. The gun barrel, the circle moving across the screen, Bond turning, the shot, the blood sliding down. It became a ritual for the franchise, but in the original Dr. No opening, the man inside that gun barrel was not Sean Connery. It was stuntman Bob Simmons. That means the first person audiences saw as Bond in the legendary gun barrel sequence was not the star of the film. It is a tiny detail, but for Bond fans, it is huge. The franchise opened with an image so strong that it did not even need Connery's face to become iconic. That is how powerful the Bond style was from the very beginning. Fact 6. Dr. No was not supposed to be the first Bond movie. This is one of the strangest twists behind the entire franchise. The first Bond film was originally expected to be Thunderball, but that project became trapped in legal problems. The rights were complicated and the producers could not move forward with it quickly. So they changed direction. Instead of waiting, they made Dr. No. That one legal problem changed everything. It changed the setting, it changed the tone, it changed the first villain, it changed the first Bond girl, it changed the first image millions of viewers would connect with James Bond. Sometimes movie history is not shaped by a perfect master plan. Sometimes it happens because another plan falls apart. And in this case, the backup option became the beginning of a legend. Fact 7. The entire Bond franchise began as a risky little gamble. Today, James Bond is one of the biggest movie franchises ever made. But Dr. No did not begin as a guaranteed success. It was made for a little over $1 million. For a movie trying to introduce a new international spy hero, that was a very cautious budget. The studio was not betting on a global phenomenon. They were taking a risk on something uncertain. A British spy film with a relatively unknown Scottish actor, a tropical location, and a tone that mixed violence, glamour, danger, and sex in a way that felt new for 1962. Nobody knew if audiences would accept it, but they did. Dr. No became a major success and proved that Bond was not just a character. He was a fantasy audiences wanted to return to again and again. That is what makes this story so powerful. The franchise did not begin with unlimited confidence. It began with doubt. And somehow, that doubt turned into more than 60 years of cinema history. Looking back now, Dr. No feels clean, stylish, and inevitable. But behind the camera, it was full of uncertainty. The actor had to be shaped into Bond. The iconic Bond girl was partly created in post-production. The gun came from a fan. The opening image did not even use Connery. And the movie itself only existed because another Bond project collapsed. That is what makes Dr. No more than just the first James Bond film. It is the moment where accident, risk, style, and timing all came together, and cinema was never the same again. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like, subscribe, and tell us which Dr. No fact surprised you the most, because every movie has a mask, and we are here to take it off.